Welcome, space fans, to a story that's shaking the very foundations of the Artemis moon program. We've all seen the incredible power of the SLS rocket launch, a truly awesome sight. But here's the burning question. If the rocket is ready, why can't NASA actually get its astronauts onto the lunar surface? The answer lies in a multi-billion-dollar crisis that threatens to derail the entire mission. The problem isn't the rocket. It's the vehicle that gets us from lunar orbit down to the moon and back, known as the Human Landing System, or HLS. This critical piece of hardware is bogged down in massive delays, shocking cost overruns, and an intense engineering battle between two of the biggest names in space: Elon Musk, SpaceX, and Jeff Bezos, Blue Origin. Today, we are re-breaking down what I am calling the Lunar Lander Crisis, and what it means for humanity's return to the moon. For the last few years, all the headlines have been about the Artemis rocket and the Orion capsule. They've flown, they've been tested. But behind the scenes, the real bottleneck has always been the moon lander. Early on, NASA realized it couldn't build this complex vehicle on its own, not on the timeline or budget it had. So in a major shift from the Apollo era, it decided to outsource the job, awarding massive contracts to private companies. First up was SpaceX, which won the initial contract with its absolutely colossal Starship vehicle. This was a bold, some would say radical, choice. But to ensure they had a backup plan and to foster competition, NASA later awarded a second enormous contract, worth nearly $4 billion, to Blue Origin for their Blue Moon lander. This total reliance on private enterprise is a huge departure from the days when NASA managed every nut and bolt of the Apollo program. And frankly, it's turning into a public relations minefield. Critics are now asking, did NASA put all its eggs in the billionaires' baskets? And is this so-called competition actually creating more chaos and delay than progress? It's a valid question, and the answer is complicated. Let's start by looking at the primary lander, SpaceX's Starship. There is no denying it is an incredible, revolutionary machine. It's designed to be fully and rapidly reusable, with an eye not just on the moon, but on making the giant leap to Mars one day. But its revolutionary design is also what's giving NASA engineers nightmares right now. To land on the moon, a single Starship needs to be refueled in Earth orbit multiple times before it can even begin its journey. This isn't like pulling into a gas station. It requires a whole series of successful launches of tanker Starships that meet up with the lunar Starship in orbit to transfer propellant. This highly complex process is called orbital refueling, and it has never been done on this scale before. Think about the logistics. If even one of those crucial tanker flights fails or is delayed, the entire Artemis III mission grinds to a halt. The sheer complexity of this orbital ballet is an immense technical hurdle that SpaceX is still working to solve. Every single Starship test flight that ends in a rapid unscheduled disassembly sends shockwaves through the entire Artemis program, highlighting just how much NASA is betting on one extremely complex, unproven piece of technology. The risk is enormous. So what about the backup plan? Enter Blue Origin. After losing the initial contract to SpaceX, Jeff Bezos' company didn't just walk away. They protested the decision, lobbied hard, and eventually NASA created a second contract, which Blue Origin won. But this decision came with a very steep price tag for taxpayers, that nearly $4 billion figure I mentioned earlier. The public outcry was immediate and focused on the huge cost. Was it really necessary to spend billions on a backup when the primary lander, Starship, was already so far behind schedule? Shouldn't that money have gone to accelerating the primary option? Blue Origin's Blue Moon lander is a much more traditional design compared to Starship, which some see as a good thing. It's less risky. However, it also faces its own significant developmental challenges, and is still years away from being ready to fly. The debate really boils down to this. Is this $4 billion contract an essential insurance policy, a smart move to save the moon mission if Starship fails? Or is it a glaring example of NASA caving to political and corporate pressure, essentially wasting taxpayer money on a lander that might never even be needed if the first one works? It's a tough call, and both sides have valid points. The bottom line is this: the SLS rocket is ready. The Orion capsule is ready. The astronauts are training, but the landers are not. This lunar lander crisis is the single biggest reason why the goal of landing humans back on the moon is constantly slipping further and further into the future, from 2024 to 2025, and now likely much later. NASA's big gamble on rapid commercial development has led to both breathtaking innovation and paralyzing delays. We're seeing revolutionary ideas like Starship take shape, but we're also seeing the real-world consequences of relying on technologies that are still on the drawing board. If these immense technical and logistical hurdles aren't overcome soon, the United States could genuinely risk losing its leadership position in this new global space race. So what do you think about this whole situation? Should NASA have played it safe and chosen a simpler, more traditional lander design from the start? Or is it right to push the boundaries with a game-changing vehicle like Starship, even with all the risks involved? Let me know your thoughts on the Lunar Lander Crisis down in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you want to stay updated on this and other breaking space news, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in the next one.